So when I first saw this, I thought I was having a strange feeling of deja vu for a moment. But no, we have another new study showing that, as we said last time about the last study that came out from the government, this will shows basically how worse off Britain will be post-Brexit. So, each of the government's 4 Brexit scenarios, including a bespoke deal, would leave Britain poorer and cost the taxpayer hundreds of millions of pounds each analysis have shown. A study for the think tank Global Future by Jonathan Portes, a professor of economics and public policy at King's College London, found that a bespoke deal, the government's preferred option, would have a net negative financial impact of about 4 billion a year. Polling commissioned for a study by Populus, which is run by David Cameron's former chief strategist Andrew Cooper, found that voters, even those who backed Brexit, feared that leaving the European Union would come at too high a price. The analysis came as the government braced itself for defeats in Parliament on Wednesday, including its plans to take the UK out of the customs union, and as the EU withdrawal bill returns to the House of Lords. 9 senior Conservatives, including 2 former cabinet ministers, are among those who have put their names to a series of cross-party amendments aimed at persuading Theresa May to rethink her position. The amendment giving Parliament a vote on staying in the customs union, which is almost certain to pass, would mean that MPs will get a say on the contentious issue, despite the government's efforts to kick it into the long grass. This is the only way the Prime Minister will be able to avoid a defeat, and it will be a significant offer of concessions. The Global Future research is based on the government's own impact studies on 3 different Brexit scenarios. So, if anything, this new study only confirms the government's last study, bearing in mind there are people who still say that those are wrong and that those are fake. But, you know, what do these people who don't have economic degrees know about these studies? So, but this was different because it also studied the 4th option, the bespoke deal, using data from the official assessments along with details set out by the Prime Minister in her Mansion House speech. It suggested that the option would increase the cost of non-tariff barriers by 23 billion over the status quo. Other costs include custom barriers, divorce payments and ongoing contributions, which would add another 38 billion. While limits on free movements would deny the economy 6 billion a year. However, the analysis found that the bespoke deal could also bring in 27 billion extra to the Treasury, including from customs revenue and EU budget savings. Overall, the net cost of the deal would be 40 billion a year by 2033, and 615 million a week in today's prices. After looking at all 4 options available to the Prime Minister, the study established that in the long term, the amount of money available for spending on public services would fall. Under the so-called Norway option, there would be 262 million less a week. Under the Canadian model, it would be 877 million. While under a no deal, it would be 1.25 billion. This would mean 22% less funding available for the NHS if there was a bespoke deal, and 9% and 33% and 44% less under each of the other options. A poll of 2,000 people for Global Future found that overwhelmingly, throughout all 4 deals, the bespoke and remaining in the European Economic Area Free Trade Agreement and crashing out into the World Trade Organization's terms were bad. It also found that 72% of those who voted Leave thought that the 650 million a week would be too high a price to pay for the bespoke deal, while 78% felt that it was worse than they had hoped for when casting their vote in the EU referendum. Well, there were people telling you how bad it was going to be. So, when forced to choose between the four scenarios described, more than half of those polled voted for the Norway-style deal, which was the least impactful on public financials and trade, as well as the fewest additional controls on immigration. Leave voters also preferred this option, with 37%, compared with the 63% who backed the bespoke deal. Porter said that if we are to decide what sort of Brexit we want, the least we need is a menu with prices, and the one we have prepared represents the government's best estimates. It is up to us to decide which of those is the price worth paying. So, to be honest, I've said this before, I've said it again, the best option always is and always will be is to remain in the EU. Like it or not. You are essentially saying that if you want to leave the EU, you are saying that you want less money for public services and less money for the NHS. So, this wasn't a secret. This wasn't something that has been sprung upon you. This has been the choir chorus singing since day one. This has been the de facto stance of pretty much every single economist there is. And this just confirms what this study that the government did, that we will be worse off. It even puts price tags to it. So, yeah, another study, another one showing just how bad we will be worse off at. So, yeah, I've always said I will go with the evidence. So if anyone can actually show me any proper evidence that we will be somehow better off, then okay, I will change my mind. But until you can actually show me any proper and good evidence to say that, these figures are wrong, or that, the government's own information saying that how bad it would actually be is wrong, then yeah, bring it on. Because so far, all the people that have commented so far have basically said, oh no, we'll be fine. And that is living in a fantasy land. Look, when I first started this channel, I was dealing with people who thought that, drinking urine and that somehow drinking 13 litres of, of fruit juice and shoving coffee enemas up their ass will cure their cancer. I'm still waiting for, the scientific research that many of them say exists. And bear in mind, I've read that quack's book, and he still presents no logic or reasonable evidence to suggest that that treatment can cure cancer. But here we are. You have your quacks who are in power, which is dangerous to say beyond words, and they are now saying that we can now, if we shove this, hot coffee enema up our asses, it'll somehow make us better. But you have the doctor on the other hand saying, no, we need to take you for immediate, chemotherapy treatment so we can help you. That's the situation we are in, and it's just, and, particularly with all the stuff we had from about, saying how the Commonwealth will save us, and, you had all the Commonwealth countries literally turn around and just go, no, we're not going to become some sort of imperial bazaar, thank you very much. So, yeah, Brexit is not good, won't be good, and you've only got yourselves to blame.